more of our favorite purchases from 2021. This is MacVoices. MacVoices is supported by ZocDoc. Find local doctors who take your insurance. Learn more at ZocDoc.com/MacVoices. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, this is part 2 in a 3-part MacVoices live discussion of some of our favorite purchases of 2021. We went around and asked everyone to talk about what some of the best things they bought were, and boy, did we get a varied set of products. So let's go right back and let the panel do the talking. Let's see. Jim, how about you?
Sure.
What did you score that you feel is really important?
I didn't really need to. I looked at my Amazon list, but I knew what the number one thing was before I even looked at it. But I should say, I want to talk about it really, but probably the most important thing I found on the list was 3M Aura N95 masks. The number one thing that I use every day, I'm looking at you on it right now, is a Dell S3221QS 32-inch curved 4K monitor, which I bought in the summer, and I just love it. And it was only $350. I see now they're $379. And a few weeks ago, I looked for some reason. I think I was recommending it to somebody else, and it was closer to $500. So it's come back down again. But I like curved monitors. I had a curved 1080p monitor before that I liked, and so now I've got the same thing in 4K, and it's really sharp, it's really bright, it's got DisplayPort, so plays nice with my M1 Mac and also with my older 15-inch MacBook. So I don't know what else I can say about it. It's great. I love it. I'm so happy to have a Retina display now for my external display.
Nice, thank you.
Can you throw a link in the chat?
I can, because I did look on Amazon so that I could do that.
Curious.
Dell makes great. Dell makes great monitors. I mean, I buy them in the corporate world, and you just can't go wrong with Dell.
Yeah.
What's
a lot of people don't know that Dell and Apple sourced panels from the same place.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of makes sense. How many people will make panels?
Yeah, but they were sourcing the same panels from the same place. So you could buy a Dell display that was the same size as an Apple display, and it was the Apple display in a different case.
Yeah,
I wonder how
do
curved panels? Are they made? They must be made curved, I assume, from whoever makes the panels. How does that work?
I don't know how it actually. Yeah, I don't know how that works.
No,
I don't know. I do know
I don't either.
that
I've never heard anything.
There's a lot of companies that make curved panels where they just make it curved without any consideration to what that angle of the curve is, and like HP, I'm not sure if Dell is doing this, but I know HP is, where they actually figured out what the proper angle was so that you had the same focal distance from edge to edge without having to like change where your head is. So like with my display, when I do this, my eyes are the same distance all the way across.
I don't think this is quite that curve. That would take a lot of curve for a 32-inch monitor.
It takes very little curve.
Well, then maybe it does. I don't know. It seems good. I have no problem with going from, I was kind of worried that 32-inch was going to be too big. Say I had a 27-inch. Or maybe I didn't say that. The curved one I had before was a 27-inch. And that one I kind of bought on a whim from Costco about 5 years ago, and wound up just loving it. It was like $200, and I was kind of loath to replace it because I was like, well, I'm happy with it, but I didn't think it would work well on the newer operating systems because they stopped. They really wanted a Retina display, But now that I have this one, I could never go back. Oh man. And 32 inches is not too big.
And what's great about these monitors too, especially Dell's very, very generous with ports. You got 2 HDMI ports, so the 2.0, plus you have a display port. It's very similar to my Samsung. My Samsung I've bought last year, and probably my third thing. It's not curved, but really, really sharp image. But the nice thing is you have multiple ports, and I can connect this monitor to multiple computers when needed.
Since you mentioned that, I couldn't get it to work Retina with the HDMI. So when I first attached it, I used HDMI, and it only did 1080p.
Oh, okay.
And at first I didn't even realize, because I was used to it and I thought it looked better. But then I looked in the settings, and it was like, oh, it's only doing 1080p. So I got a DisplayPort cable, and I was like, oh, now this is really sharp. The other thing is, on the M1 Mac, it doesn't work at 60 hertz. You have to use it at 30 hertz. And interestingly, the 15-inch, my 4 or 5-year-old 15-inch, no problem. I was using it at 60 hertz for several months, and then when I hooked it up to the M1 Mac, and it was really weird because it would like sort of blink. It'd be like on, blink, on, blink, on. I was like, what is going on? And I think I Googled blink and didn't find anything, but it turned out I should have Googled flicker. I don't see how that's a flicker. To me, flicker is like, but right. This was like, 2 seconds on, half second off, something like that. But, I found a support, I think it was on an Apple support thing. I mean, a forum. It wasn't an official Apple thing. And they said 30, you got to change it to 30 hertz. And it's apparently an M1. And sounds like it's probably a software thing. So maybe they'll fix it eventually. It was a little tricky because I had to change the setting to 30 hertz while it was doing this blinking thing. So it took a while to do that. But I managed to do that, and lo and behold, it works fine. And I haven't, I don't do games or anything, so I haven't seen anything where I don't really care that it doesn't do 60 hertz. But
yeah, that was going to be the one thing I was going to ask you to comment on. Is, do you notice any issue with the 30?
No, I
don't either.
Are you having? You're using the same thing with the same problem?
The hertz on this monitor is really low. But I was also going to mention with the M1 Pro monitors, OWC makes this Thunderbolt dual display port that you can connect, and I was able to connect 2 monitors to the and get that same scaling using this little guy, just Thunderbolt. So it's nice to be able to have DisplayPort, because it's hard to find, especially if you have a hub or any other device, to be able to do a dual DisplayPort, and this comes in handy.
I only have enough eyes for one external monitor.
That was going to be my question to you guys,
Dave. That adapter, is that Thunderbolt or just USB?
Thunderbolt
or USB-C? Thunderbolt.
So, David, are you plugging that into a USB port on the Mac, or are you able to put that into a Thunderbolt port on a dock?
I've used this on the dock too. So, like, I have my OWC Thunderbolt dock and plugged it into the Thunderbolt port, and I was able to drive 2 DisplayPort monitors if I had to.
And I'm using a Thunderbolt to DisplayPort cable. That's how I did that. Mm-hmm. And I have been able to plug that into the Thunderbolt into an OWC Thunderbolt hub. And actually, that is sort of my second place pick too. And I haven't gotten much use out of it because I got it right at the end of the year. But I got an OWC Thunderbolt hub that gives you more Thunderbolt ports, and it has 2 built-in drives. It has an SSD.
That's right. You bought that. I remember you telling me that.
An SSD and a hard drive in it. So I just plug in one cable, and it's got the 2 drives, 3 Thunderbolts. It will supply power. It's got a power cable coming in, so you don't have to use one of the Thunderbolts for power. And I think it's got 4 USB-A ports too. So even though I have a 13-inch MacBook Pro with only 2 ports, that pretty much covers me for ports. So
Yeah. I think that unit also takes the NVM drives too.
takes what?
The NVM drives, the small NVM drives.
I think that's what the SSD is in it. I bought it with a drive from OWC, but you can put your own in instead.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice, Jim. Very nice. And the price shocks me a little bit because the last time I looked at some of these, something like that, it was around $500.
The monitor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's down, that's pretty affordable for 32 inches.
Especially that resolution.
Yeah, I think the thing is it doesn't it's not a USB-C display. If you want that, then the price jumps way up. But I was like, I don't care.
It's not that important.
And 5K would be nice, but that's like $900 more. So it's not. Oh, and I actually, another thing I could say about this monitor too is the fit and finish is just fantastic. It's very, it's very well built, and it's also got a great stand on it that's real adjustable. You can not only raise and lower it, you can tilt it forward and backward. So you can get it, and it's a nice looking display too. So
and it supports Visa.
Mm-hmm. It does.
That's a big thing for me when I look at
so
new displays.
Put it on a monitor arm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now I love it. I thought about it for a long time and sort of dithered, and they were kind of hard to get. Well, I see now they've only got 2 in stock on Amazon, and I think when I got it, it kind of was going in and out of stock, and
monitors are a hot commodity right now. Trust me.
Yep.
I have to buy a lot of them to work for my day job. So
it's kind of weird because I think they ship from Dell, maybe, even though you buy it from Amazon.
Right.
It definitely came from Texas, and it was sort of completely different from the usual Amazon. Like there was no next day. I don't think Amazon carries it in their warehouses. I think it came from a Dell warehouse.
Yep.
Yeah, there are a lot of big name companies that have Amazon storefronts, and they're doing all the fulfillment themselves.
It says visit the Dell store, so it's got its own store.
Yeah, but there's a lot of stuff I buy from the whatever store, but it's still like this. It used a different shipper than anything else. It just really felt completely different than a normal Amazon purchase. I mean, I bought a lot of stuff in Amazon last year, and this definitely stood out as being a different experience than anything else. I mean, well, I was going to say not necessarily bad. I would say the usual Amazon experience is better, actually, but it's okay. And I the other thing, it comes in obviously a gigantic box. It was hard to get from my door to my office. And it's very heavy.
Yeah.
Very, very nice. I feel like that the last 2 years have been the 2 years of screen real estate for working at home and everything, because people just didn't have those great setups at home, and they found out that they really need them.
I can't have anything less now.
I have the same number of pixels that I've had for the last few years. They're just Retina pixels instead of non-Retina.
Yeah.
This edition of MacVoices is supported by ZocDoc. Find local doctors who take your insurance. No one knows what you're looking for in a doctor better than you. And no one's better at giving you the tools to find the perfect doctor than ZocDoc. The people who created ZocDoc found the major pain points in healthcare, all the things that weren't working, and said, enough. And then they made booking a great doctor surprisingly pain-free. ZocDoc is a free app that shows you doctors who are patient-reviewed, take your insurance, and are available when you need them. Read up on your local doctors. Check out the verified patient reviews and see what other real humans thought of their visit. Then, when you walk into that doctor's office, you're set up to see someone in your network who gets you. And ZocDoc works on your schedule. Go to ZocDoc.com, choose a time slot and whether you want an in-person or video visit. And just like that, you're booked. Go to ZocDoc.com/MacVoices and download the ZocDoc app for free. Then start your search for a top-rated doctor today. Many are available within 24 hours. That's ZocDoc.com/MacVoices. ZocDoc.com/MacVoices. Thanks to ZocDoc for supporting MacVoices.
I went 4K and went from one display to two on my desk setup, and it made my life immeasurably better. So I have two LG 4K displays, and I bought a burly 2-monitor arm to go to clip to my desk to hold them all both up, because like the stands, like I don't have a whole lot of space on my desk in the first place, and so getting them up off my desk made it super easy to made it a far more tenable situation to have two screens in the first place. So yeah, two 27-inch 4K displays, and it was a really excellent move on my part. So my house has been mostly ergonomics, like aside from that.
Do you have to like slide back and forth to use one monitor or the other?
No, I just tilt my head a little bit. So like right now I'm looking at the monitor that this is on, and then now I'm looking at the screen at my other monitor. Like it's not far.
So neither one is in front of you? The divider is in front of you?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So if you think about it, that's the way a lot of the Visa mounts are for two.
Yeah.
Yeah. You either have to sit in front of one and then cock the other one to an angle left or right, or you just sit in front and then look to the left, look to the right.
Yeah, and it's not far. It's not like there's a huge space in between them or anything, so it's not a huge deal. These are also Visa mount monitors, and another thing that's very nifty that has recently evolved out of existence at my house, as I've done a bunch of desk rejiggering, is you can buy a deal, to get technical, that goes between that you screw to the monitor that uses the Visa mount for the monitor, and then the other side of it attaches to the arm that you're using or the monitor stand that you're using, and it holds a computer in between your monitor and your arm, so you can tuck a mini back there and go on about your life, and it's super great. So,
hey Kelly, what Visa monitor arms are you using?
The one that they came attached to the thing that clamps to my desk, so I don't know.
So
at your leisure, let me know.
Okay. Yeah, I'll pull up the purchase history on that. My new keyboard, well, not new, but recent development keyboard from late last year is a Matthias keyboard, because I too used a Matthias keyboard for a lot of years. And then switched to the Ergo Pro from Matthias. And the reason I like it is because, as you sit, if you put your hands like here, like that's not where your keyboard is, right? Like if you just have your hands at your sides, like you kind of have to put them together a little bit to type. And that's where like the laptop hunch comes from. And this keyboard is two separate pieces. It's not just one of those that's like a big old slab with some space in the middle. It's two different pieces, and you can move them as far apart or as close together as you want them to be. And you can tilt them at all different angles and such. It is not a wireless keyboard, but it sits on my desk all the time, and I don't ever notice the wire for it. So it's not that big a deal that it requires a cable. And now I can just have my keyboard wherever I want my hands to be. And some days I need to put it a little further apart and kind of stretch my shoulders a little bit. And some days I don't have to I can put it, together a little bit more and type more. So I've really appreciated the ergonomics. Mr. Kelly bought a new Logitech mouse because he was using the MX Master and started having trouble with his wrist. and I think there's something out of whack on his at his work desk. And so he bought a new Logitech vertical mouse. So instead of using your mouse like this, you use it. I think on their website, I think they say it's like a handshake is how you hold it. And it's pretty nifty, actually. And he said it took a little while, like an afternoon, to get used to. But now he really likes it. And he said it's making his arm and his arm and his shoulder feel a little better. So that's kind of cool. So
Interesting, the keyboards are getting so much play. I mean, the monitors, I almost understand the keyboards. Of course, I think we had part of this discussion last week, too. The keyboards are just a hot topic right now.
Well, I have strong opinions about keyboards anyway, so I was pretty fussy about mine in the first place, but which is why I use the one I use, because I really like the travel on it, and I don't like that all of Apple's keyboards are flat now. As much as I want to use a Touch ID keyboard, and as great as it is to have that right in front of me to be able to type on, like typing on like even just the laptop keyboard for a short period of time, like I just don't like it anymore now that I've gotten used to my two-piece keyboard that I can stick wherever I want. So I just made some strategic upgrades probably to my setup, and that's been one of the best ones, I think. Was definitely the new keyboard, because I use it because I have it connected to both my computers. So I use it all day long, and then anything I do, like now, like when I'm doing stuff on my personal machine, I'm still using the same keyboard to do that. I'm still team Magic Trackpad as far as that goes, but for typing, the Ergo is the way to go, and it's because it's the travel on the keys. I just like it to be able to actually feel it happen. So,
right.
Yeah.
Before we go on here, I believe Mark Fuccio has just joined us.
Just in time.
Waiting for Mark to come on.
Yes.
Mark, are you there?
I am here. Do you hear me? Yes.
We hear you. Yes. We do not have video from you. That's right.
Okay.
We do. Now we do.
Now
Yes.
we do, yes.
Welcome. Good to have you.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Mark.
I don't know if
Hi.
you've been listening in. We've been talking about what our favorite tech is from last year. What the best things we bought in tech. So
I saw that on the notes. So
yes. So I'll let you contemplate that a little bit. I want to make sure I get to Brittany because she said she might have to leave us a little bit early. So Brittany, any thoughts on what you felt like was the best thing you bought?
Unfortunately, most of the things I bought were actually from Apple that were tech related. There were a couple things that I got that I had already had one of, but getting more improved my life. I have sun lights, like the sun therapy lights, in most rooms I spend time in now. And because I have the seasonal affective quite a lot. And it's made a huge difference to my middle of the day energy in the winter. Also, I already had a bicycle desk, but I got more of them in more places. So yeah, most of my non-Apple stuff was yes, and more, please.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. That's great.
Extend that empire.
Yeah. Yeah. Surprising. Who haven't we heard from? Mark, jump in since you just got here.
okay. So
thoughts?
is it? Yeah. So tech, is it hardware or software? What are the parameters?
Listen, it can be anything. We've just not Apple stuff. Most of the discussion right now is focused on hardware, but if you had something that was a major improvement in your life in software, I'd love to hear it.
Well, actually, the biggest thing for me has been hardware, and I upgraded my ScanSnap scanners. I used to have, the whatever it was, a 1300i or something, and that was great, but it was kind of slow. And I upgraded to whatever it is, 1500 or the 2500, desktop model. And man, this thing is fast. It's got a much better paper handling system. So it's really made a big improvement to scanning and managing paper documents. And along to go with that, also got a big industrial strength shredder at Home Depot. So the two make a really good combination.
Yeah, I love the shredders, and I'm finding out more and more that don't buy a cheap shredder. Just go ahead and invest
No.
in a good one, because otherwise you're going to be buying it every year and a half because they burn out. But if you get a good one, it can go for a long time, and it's so much nicer to be able to just shove a lot of paper in it and have it grinded up.
Right. And this one has enough controls that at one point it stopped because I've been shredding a lot of files, and I've been, 45 minutes or an hour or something like that. And it got overheated. And that was the first time, I really had to sit down and read the manual on it. Because, most shredders have, dead simple, it's like a car, you know what the interface is, how to use it until you have to find something sophisticated or subtle. But the two together make for a really great great combination. So it's middle of January, so as people look, if they made a mistake and they paid too much tax withholding and they're expecting a tax refund, then splurge on some shredding and scanning technology. And also, to go with it is obviously a PDF Pen Pro. It will do OCR. The unit itself does OCR, but I like the two, and then maybe also a Devon Think. So good combination, for a bunch of ideas for helping people, up their game or maybe start their game if they haven't made a transition to trying to go paperless yet.
I have an Epson ScanSnap that I bought in, I think, 2010. It might even have been 2009. So it's 11 or 12 years old. It's built like a tank. It's still going strong. And it was a great, if I'd been on this show in 2011, I would have definitely probably picked that for my top pick of 2010. On the other hand, I don't know if I'd recommend it because of software issues.
Yeah.
When Catalina came out, Epson was like, "Yep, we're not doing 64-bit drivers. You should buy a new scanner." And it took they were just like, "We're not going to do it. Never. Those are discontinued." And they actually backtracked on that, but not for about 2 years. It was a long time. So they do have drivers now. It does work. But it kind of left me with a bad feeling about, they're standing behind their products. There is also, Epson now makes a scanner that's very similar. And I actually have that too, because I bought it because the Epson one will do photographs where the Fujitsu one doesn't really recommend that. In fact, they say that it may actually mechanically damage your photos. And the Epson one, it's sold as a photo scanner. And I have a lot of photos I wanted to scan, which mostly I still haven't. But so I bought the Epson one, and it turns out that it also works really great for documents. It works just as well. It's just as fast and works pretty much identically to the Fujitsu as far as document scanning. So I would probably recommend the Epson one over Fujitsu at this point, unfortunately.
Yeah, so I had an issue. Sort of I guess maybe what the final kick in the pants was. There was a sunsetting OS support for the 1300i, and on Monterey it just is not supported. So I had and I think on Catalina it wasn't working as well, because for a year or more I had been using it on a Mac Mini, so in addition to file serving and print serving and things, it also was doing, scanning, because, it's down. I run it down a couple of versions of Mac OS, so it would do it. But I got tired of sort of the slow speed, and well, it's a combination of all the things. Sort of the wanting the ability to use it on my MacBook Pro. I took the plunge and upgraded, and I've been really happy, really pleased with it. So it looks like this maybe have a foundation going forward. It's a 64-bit app, and I can understand why they terminated some of the support for some of the 32-bit apps. But for a long time, for about a year or so, I'd periodically get things from them, sort of along the line of, hey, you're a valued customer. Sorry, we discontinued support of this, but we'll give you $100 off using this credit if you buy a new scanner. And that just is sort of like rubbing sand in your eye. So
I got those same emails, and if you look on places like Mac Power Users Forum, that was a discussion for a couple of years that people were very upset because it's like, here, I've got this perfectly working scanner that I paid $500 for. And you're just like, throw it in the trash and buy a new one. And my understanding was that the new one also required subscription software to use it.
No, it doesn't. They heavily construct the user experience to try to get you to subscribe, but it's not necessary. Ultimately, to use it, you do need to have an online account. But once you do that, you don't need to do anything, with a subscription or a cloud service in order to use the scanner.
Well, even why should I need an online account to use the scanner?
I'm reporting. I'm not justifying.
Right. So, okay, even if it doesn't cost money, that makes me wonder if it will cost money at some point.
Oh, I'd be cynical and just take a cheap shot. Is they want to make sure they have a current email address for next time they decide to trash bin a product and try to force people to upgrade.
I just there was a company that had like really high loyalty. I know when I bought my scanner on Amazon, there were hundreds of 5-star reviews on Amazon that were just and long, detailed reviews that clearly were not bots. And they really pissed off a lot of those people. And seems, so that it just, here I am disparaging them on a podcast. So unfortunate.
This Mac Voices Live panel will be back in the next edition of Mac Voices to finish up our discussion of our favorite purchases of 2021. I hope you're finding it as useful and as interesting as I am. It is costing me some money, but I know I'm getting some great products. I hope you are too. Until the next time, I'm Chuck Joyner. Thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with Mac Voices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CashFly at cashfly.com.